man who spent an entire series trying to win your heart finally gets you and still doesn't know how to act. Can T actually survive married life without turning every little moment into a full-blown romantic production? Does Peach finally get to enjoy some peace? Or did he accidentally marry the most dramatic man alive? And after all that chaos, can these two actually figure out what their happily ever after looks like? Well, grab your wigs, babes, because T and Peach are married, and apparently marriage has done absolutely nothing to calm T down. Peach and Me picks up after T and Peach's wedding, giving us glimpses into their life as newlyweds, while T still being T and Peach trying to maintain some sense of normalcy. Their happily ever after quickly turns into another round of romance, comedy, and absolute chaos. Just a heads up on this one, babes. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even do an intro. Wow, y'all need to tell me that. Y'all need to stop me. Stop me. Hi babes. Sesma's Live feeds open. Welcome back. We're talking about Peach and Me today. I'm so sorry I completely skipped over that. But just as a heads up, if you did not watch the first season, which was Me and T, please go back and watch it because I'm not recapping in this one. I just did the video on Me and T, so I'm not doing any recaps. Sorry, babes. If it was a longer time where between the two, I would, but I'm not. So please go back and watch that one if you want to know what happened in the first season, because we're gonna just go right into this one. I'm not recapping, not doing, they're too close together for me to recap. So if you want to know what Me and T was, please go back and watch that video, or just go back and watch season 1. Because this one's a very quick one, so it's not very long. So let's get into the show. What a callback we get to open to. Peach playing the handpan. However, instead of it being Peach's inner monologue this time, it's T's. They are very happy together, it seems. We see that T has added something to his tattoo as they are taking a bath together, and he is giddy as ever. I have to say, I did miss the delusions. They're funny as ever. T wakes up to cook for the kids and lets Peach sleep in a bit. What a house husband. However, apparently T is celebrating an anniversary that, of course, only he is aware of. Apparently, to him, 3 months and 33 days is an important date, though it's really 4 months and 3 days, but we know this nigga doesn't care. Peach just goes along with it. I think we all know this man by now, so I don't think he's not surprised by it. He kind of just plays along. We get to see Aran and Tawan, and it looks like they're doing pretty good. Remember that restaurant that T gave to Aran in season 1? Well, they are actually trying to make it a thing, and they're opening it soon. Happy to see that they're doing good and look very happy now after what they dealt with in the first season. Very happy to see them. That's what I wanted. I wanted a little bit more on them. Peach brings up the idea of going back to work, and T, dramatic as ever, throws a fit. However, it looks like it was just what Peach was imagining would happen in his head, not like what actually was happening. And thank God, because I was about to say, this is not serious. It's so not serious. I know the whole serious is like, the seriousness in this one is like jokey more so than it is serious. But that little break that like Peach was imagining had tickets to the moon. Tickets to the moon. What dramatic nonsense. I was like, okay, delusion threshold has officially surpassed what it was from before. And I was nervous. I really was. T and Peach are working on Peach's training so he can learn to protect himself, and T keeps pointing out that he won't have to since he has him. Peach tells him to take it seriously or he'll find someone who will, and that definitely changes T's tune. As they're continuing through the training, T surprises Peach by telling him not to lose himself just to make T happy, asking him if he's ready to go back to work. They go to dinner, and we see T is more observant and aware of Peach than he was aware of. He could see just how much Peach was missing work and doesn't want to hold him back from what he enjoys. T, although he is happy to see Peach get back to work, he's sad that it has to be so quickly. This nigga really is not taking it well. If I can add a clip of it here, I will. But it actually had me in tears because he basically had someone waterboarding him while he was in the bath. Yeah, this man was really like heartbroken. Peach offers for T to go to work with him. However, he decides not to and let them have a chance to miss each other. However, the minute Peach leaves, T is asking AI how good long distance relationships are. Crazy thing is, they're not though. They're not long distance. The man is going to work and he'll be back literally later the same day. Like oh my god. T is crazy work, bro. He really is. Thankfully, as Peach is leaving for work, surprise, surprise, Mock shows up with Rome, not too far behind. T got a friend and an assistant back, if only for a while, and Rome is a bit annoyed that T gets to have Mock for a bit. However, he is still planning to stick with Rome as well, so he can't be too mad. Peach goes back to work, and he's definitely happy. Aran and him are chatting. Peach explains how married life with T has been actually really good, like so good that he realized it filled a hole in his life. As they catch up, we learn that although Aran and Tawan are doing good, and Tawan has been showing up for Aran better than before, he's scared to move forward with him, which I completely understand. When someone has let you down many times before, it becomes pretty difficult to trust them again. You also aren't sure. Actions will speak louder than words, but you know you're not fully there in a place to let them show you, you know? So I don't blame him for being cautious. It's really hard to build trust again once you lose it. So I completely understand. Back with Rome and Mock, we see Rome is a bit sulky. However, Mock gives him a kiss to cheer him up. It was a quick peck, but you know Rome, he's not going to be satisfied with just that. So he goes back in for more. With T, he's looking back at videos of their travels together, and he's still pretty upset about Peach going back to work. The girl baby, Marn, comes in and tells him to just call Peach if he's so sad. Not gonna lie, I'm surprised he didn't do that already. Like, that should have been our first thing. We should have just called him the minute he walked out the door. After the call, T is so happy that honestly it was worth the dramatics. Peach finished up work and packs up to head home to the man obsessed with him. We move to see T manage to get the babies and even Plub in on waiting for Peach to get home, and they're all even wearing peaches. And yeah, this man is something special, truly. Once Peach is home, everyone sits down for dinner together like one big happy family. It's very cute. However, we learn that Rome is about to be told where he will be setting up shop, so it puts a bit of a damper on dinner. Rome and Mock go to the shooting range, and Mock is upset about Rome's potential leaving. However, Rome doesn't seem to mind because he was only really upset before, since he had to keep away from Mock. Back with Peach and T explains he has to find an assistant quick so Mock and Rome can get back to their time together, just proving how much he really cares for his little brother, a fact that Peach does point out. The next day, T's new assistant shows up, and for those familiar with GMMTV, you will for sure love this new addition to the cast. I know I definitely did. Emmy's one of my favorite actresses in GMMTV other than Bonnie and Sammy, so I really enjoyed having her pop in for this little 4-episode stint. Her name is Mira in here, and it seems like we will have to see how she works out as his assistant, but so far it's looking up. The day of the big meeting has arrived, and it seems very serious. Turns out it was definitely a pretty big deal. Rome is going to be taking over the company, as in he's going to be taking over his father's place. Not sure that's what he wanted, as he storms out, seeming pretty upset. Mock trailing behind him. T is feeling pretty guilty since he's the older son, and instead of him taking over, it was thrust upon Rome instead. So Peach does his best to console him. We flash back to 7 years ago. Mock is watching as T and Rome are swimming in the pool. Mock points out Rome should already be heading out, and T and Rome exchange a look clearly mischievous, like they plan to do something to Mock. They both get out of the pool and throw Mock in. Then decide to have some fun because they are all pretty close friends and they should be able to hang out and have fun, but that's not the life they live. We jump back to present day and we are back in the pool. This time it's just Rome and Mock is watching him. And Peach and T show up just in time for T to bother Rome in the pool. And we get the infamous "too much Thai bro" line. And I really got such a kick out of that. It was actually really cute. They get out and talk, and T feels so bad for his brother that he is willing to take over his dad's position if he really doesn't want it. He spoke to Peach about it and everything, and he's completely willing to take the bullet for Rome, considering he's his big brother and he doesn't want his little brother to suffer for him. Mock and Peach went somewhere else to have their own talk. Mock gives Peach a bit of insight into why this decision might have happened and why Rome was so upset about it. Surprisingly, he's not upset about taking the role so much as he's upset that people might look down on T because of it. Because obviously T is the firstborn and Rome is the second, so there has to be some sort of reason for the second son to be taking over versus the first, and they're not good reasons. So I could see why he might be a little upset about people judging his brother. No bed. Mind your business. No bed. Go back in your crate. Sorry, my puppy's wandering right now. She's probably hungry. Give me one moment. Okay. All right. T makes it clear he's never cared what others think, and he's not about to start now. And Rome gets a bit serious for a sec and asks T honestly, is he not wanting to take over for Dad because of Peach? T is honest that the one thing that scares him more than anything is losing Peach because of what their family does. Rome gets it because he's the same way about Mock. So much so that he admits to T that if Mock staying with him is the safer option, he might just have to let Mock stay and be his assistant again. Which that not only did it shock me, not only did it shock T, but me too, because he was really fighting for this man. And I don't know if Mock would be willing to part with him just to keep himself safe, you know? After their respective talks, Peach and T are back together. T tells Peach about their childhood a bit more and how important Mock was and is to the two of them. Peach and T have a cute moment where Peach reminds T that he will never be alone again because he's with him. With Rome, Mock comes in to tell him about dinner and he decides to lay out his decision then. He tells Mock that whenever T and Peach leave, he should go with them. He also told him that he had known he was going to become the leader of Arseny, he also told him that if he had known he was going to become the leader of Arseny, he wouldn't have fallen in love with him, which of course upsets Mock. How could it not? The man that he loves just told him he wouldn't fall in love with him if he knew he was going to be the leader. Like, come on now, what are we playing at? This of course causes Mock to fall back into bodyguard mode, and instead of fighting with him, he just agrees, and he says that if it's the boss's orders, then he has no reason to fight back. We move to see Mock and Mira at the shooting range, and it's obvious Mock is off his game. Peach shows up and tries his best to reassure Mock that Rome has his reasons for sending him away, and not loving him is not that reason. He should give him some time to think it through. Mock, Mira, Peach, and T head into work, and of course we get some cute moments, but we also get a very cute interaction between Mira and Plub. So it looks like they're gonna have a quick little something with them in here too. I'm liking it. T and Peach spend some time together before he has to leave for work, and it's very cute seeing the domestic side of them so often. This nigga T is about really about this man, and it's very cute. He even tried to disguise himself as Mock to go to work with him, which of course wasn't gonna work because they sound and look nothing alike. He really thinks in dramas, bro. We move to Peach at work, and surprisingly enough, remember the kid from the very first episode of season 1 who he gave the camera to, like he just gave his camera to freely? Well, he finally shows back up, And he actually gives the camera back. He's adorable, I won't lie. And Peach sends a pic of the kid he met to T because he's excited. However, you know this man isn't sane, so of course he freaks out. They get home after work and look in on the babies. They're such a cute little storybook family. All they're missing is a dog, and I don't know if they kept the one that T got to compare himself to in season 1, so still need a dog. Peach tells T about the dinner Aran wants to have for them, and he of course agrees with no hesitation. If it's what Peach wants, it's what Peach gets. I almost forgot they bought Gym MTV last season, and they were still making their lives into a show. And it's so funny they actually still incorporate it into the show, because hearing them talk about their real selves in here is actually very funny. They move to the bathroom and are comparing who gets jealous, and it's obvious it's T, but it's cute watching them go back and forth about it. We move to Aran and Tawan setting up for the dinner to come. As they are talking, Tawan is obviously grappling with something. Aran asks him what it is, and Tawan asks him if he misses being in showbiz. He realizes that Aran has stepped back from it for him, and he's feeling bad about it. He lets Aran know that he doesn't plan to mess up his last chance with him, and wants him to go back to work if he really misses and loves it. They clearly are in a much better place, a much better and communicative, oh my gosh, they are clearly in a much better and communicative place. So I'm happy to see it. We move to the dinner and I'm seeing looks from everyone. Come to find out, Peach planned something for T. That's what the looks were for. Plub excuses herself to go get the guitar that Peach needs for his surprise, and on her way back, she sees Mira outside and decides to invite her in with them. Mira refuses politely, but it's pretty obvious now that there is definitely something there. Plub goes in, sets up to perform, and the surprise goes pretty well. And T and Peach even share a dance together. But of course, T didn't come empty-handed either. He had a surprise of his own. He put together a montage for Peach to see him through T's eyes, which was also very cute. These niggas really love each other. It's very cute to watch, I have to say. This little dinner basically turned into a reenactment of the wedding, and it was very adorable. I'm really enjoying the second season, even if it is pretty short. After dinner, the main couple goes back home and are fondly stargazing and loving each other's company. We move to Plub, who is once again flirting with Mira, and as I said before, I'm liking it. Plub knows what she's doing. Mira is trying not to fall for it, and I'm loving this dynamic. I can't wait to watch the series these actresses have together airing. I think it's airing now, but back to the show. Plub asks about Mira's family to learn she doesn't have any, and a lesson on how the Lee family picks bodyguards. Plub shares about her life with Mira as well. We move back to our main couple as Peach is startled awake by a nightmare. After consoling him back to sleep the next day, T reveals to Peach he's been keeping something from him. Not out of fear or not wanting to tell him, he just wasn't sure what good it would do to tell Peach, and he found out what happened to his parents. Peach decides it's time to tell Plub, and she can decide for herself what she wants to do with that information. Their father was sent to prison for a life sentence, and their mom actually passed away. They go on to discuss how they're feeling about it, and this part I feel like a lot of people can actually empathize with or sympathize with. I actually had a grandparent who passed, when they passed, I had this the same sort of feeling, kind of, where it was sad to know the information of them passing, but I didn't really feel much because I didn't have much of a relationship with them to begin with. So I think this has happened for plenty of people, because family, yes, a lot of people will define it as like people who you're blood related to, but family in a general sense, it's not only the people you're blood related to, it's the people you surround yourself with and choose to love. So for those who can sympathize with this part, I do want you to know that just because you have had bad people in your life in the past, it doesn't mean you have to keep them in your future, okay? You do get to choose your family against popular belief. Family is not strictly left to those you were born into. Back to the show. The next day, they go to visit their mother's grave. T gives Peach and Plub a moment alone with their mom and decides to take this opportunity to talk to Mok. And it's actually very amusing to watch as he's not at all gentle with Mok. And he tells him to stand up and go after his man already. Rome fought for him, and we saw that. And now it's time for Mok to stand up and fight for Rome. Even if he pushes him away, it shouldn't make him leave, and that's what he needs to get across to Rome. Back with Plub and Peach, they're saying what they need to move on from their mother and the life that they dealt with before. Unluckily enough, while our group is out, they get ambushed, and thank God Peach decided to take those lessons, because he actually was able to put it into use and hold his own and also have Mira's back. As Peach and Mira protect Plub, Mok heads over to help T. T is holding his own, but as his back is turned, someone aims to shoot and Mok shows up just in time, but he does get shot in the process. As the assailant aims to shoot again, Rome shows up and takes him out. Out. Once the coast is clear, everyone is getting sorted. Peach makes sure Plub is okay, and once she guarantees him she is good, he goes to make sure that T is okay. But he's not, because he's blaming himself for everything that happened. Like, somehow the family business he was born into is his fault. Peach reassures him it's not his fault, nor is anyone mad at him for it happening. He and Plub understand it's par for the course, and they aren't going to blame him for this. However, Rome is having to take over like a boss. Like, he knows what it's about. He doesn't regret taking out the men that came after them, because he knows that there was no other way to get across to others that they can't just take power from them. He's also pissed Mok got hurt, so there's also that. But T is mad because it happened in his territory and he doesn't want anyone being killed. So with that being said, Rome decides it's time for him to leave T's territory as not to cause any more problems. Rome is waiting in Mok's hospital room, and as Mok gets up, he pleads with Rome to wait for him to get better so they can leave together. Of course, Rome is happy to hear this and wasn't gonna actually leave him behind. I don't think there was any way they could actually separate at this point, so I was kind of doubtful that was actually gonna happen. Back with T and Peach, Peach is treating T's injuries, and as they talk, it's clear they're really the other support system as well as their motivation. It's very heartwarming to see just how much they have grown to become each other's person. With Mok and Rome, Mok didn't stay at the hotel, With Mok and Rome, Mok didn't stay at the hospital, so they go back to T's place. Rome wants to make sure Mok is positive he's going back with him. Mok assures him he is, but tells him that what he's going back with him as is up to him. Rome makes it very clear the only position available by his side is as a partner, none of this bodyguard, secretary, assistant bullshit. The next day, as Mok is finishing up his duties, he lays into Mira about neglecting hers when shit hit the fan. Thankfully, Plub came to her rescue and explained she was protecting Peach, which to T is more important, so Mok took it easy on her this time. Peach and T talk, and Peach tells him he needs to talk to Rome because he was only protecting the man he loves. If it had been Peach instead of Mok, he would have done the same thing, and he knows it. And considering he needs to take over for his dad, being able to make decisions like this makes him much more suited to the position. So T gives in and goes to apologize to Rome. And at the end of the day, you can see how much they love and care for each other. Anyone with siblings they actually get along with can agree. You can be mad as hell at them for 1 second, and then whether it be an hour or 12 hours or the next day, you're back to normal like it didn't even happen. And I can attest to that. Having siblings is fucking weird, man, but you gotta love them niggas, bro. You really do. It's a weird thing having siblings, man. I have enough of them to know from experience. Peach and Mok decide they should all do something nice together, so everyone gets together to have a nice dinner together. After dinner, as Rome, T, and Plub play with the babies, Mok and Peach talk. They exchange encouragement and also decide to plan a camping trip with the little time they have left before Rome's succession. Right at the very end, we see Aran and Tawan receiving casting calls for a series that sounds oddly familiar. The assumption or inference being they are realizing they got a call about T and me, the show they are literally living through. We see our four setting up camp. Rome decides to pick fun at T because what are younger siblings for? However, T is coming back with fire, and the interaction is just very, very amusing. I'm actually very enjoying it. It's actually pretty funny watching them do this back and forth. The bickering kind of had me in tears. We moved to see Plub trying to get closer to Mira, and when... Sorry, my puppy's eating. It's louder. She's louder than I thought. We moved to see Plub trying to get closer to Mira, and when it comes to Mira, Plub had a way with words. She really knows how to make that girl feel special. I love it. Back with our group, we see Malk and Peach talking, and they have a reassuring conversation about the fact that everyone knew Rome was going to become the leader from the very beginning. They just never said it. So no one has to feel any guilt about the situation. They wish each other long and happy lives. As we move to Rome and T, they discuss Rome being a great leader and how they promise to be there for each other. We move to see our couples gathered around the campfire. Peach and T are being very cute with each other, while Rome wants to be cute with Malk. However, that is definitely not their dynamic, and it never has been. So they then all head to bed for the night, and Rome tries to be a bit clingy with Malk. They finally do have a cute moment. Back with T and Peach, they are stargazing, and somehow this nigga T turned Peach into a fucking constellation. A constellation. How does one do that? I don't fucking know. And I know it's a show, but now they're just doing stuff that no one would ever possibly be able to replicate, and it's feeling really delusional. Like, way past normal delusion to the point of, you must be sleeping, nigga, because that's not ever gonna happen. Like, you can't... What? Constellations are already there in the sky. Huh? Whatever. They move to just chill together, and they just have a very lovely talk with each other, reminiscing about the past, talking about their love for each other and the people in their lives. They then head for a spicy time, but the next morning they head home without Malk and Rome, and apparently Malk and Rome could only stay for the night. Then they had to leave early to head for Hong Kong, and we got to see a very heartfelt goodbye between Malk and T. Once that is done, we move to see that filming for me and T has started, and y'all, they really are taking this far. I did not expect them to go this deep with the GMM TV storyline, but I'm actually loving seeing so many familiar faces, and this whole last part took me out. If you haven't watched it, if you haven't watched it, you have to, if for nothing else but to see T berate the actual actors of GMM TV. It's really crazy how well pondphuwin fit these roles so well. I know all the actors who got to pop up in here and do cameos had just had such a fun time. It looked like it was so fun to just like pop in for a quick cameo, you know? After returning home from the filming, Peach got a bit jealous of how close T was getting, trying to help the actors do the scenes. He basically spent the day firing everyone. The next day, Peach and T get together with Aran and Tawan and talk about the show. Peach begs them to basically play them in the show, so they give it a try, but they can barely get through the lines. They didn't realize that Peach and T actually interacted with each other like this for so long. And Aran gets an idea, which I can only assume is that they just play themselves, but we don't know what it was quite yet as we move to an exhibition opening. Apparently, T built a gallery for Peach to use, and he decided to fill it with his life and the people he loves. T being the most featured since he has done so much for Peach. T shows up to love his man, and they get a very cute, happy ending. At the very end, it's exactly as I thought. T and Peach just acted as themselves, and everyone got a happy ending. They literally had to specify at the end this time that this is actually the end of the show, which I thought was actually pretty cute. But happy endings pretty much all around. Thank God. So let's move on to what worked. What I thought really worked, this one gave me exactly what I wanted. More of the other two couples. We got to see more elaboration on how Aran and Tawan were doing and working through stuff. And we got to see Malk and Rome actually get to be happy together. That's literally what I said I wanted at the end of my review for the first one. I said if they didn't give that to me in this one, I was gonna have to lower my grade for the other one. But because they gave me exactly what I fucking asked for, the grade for this one is very good. I loved how they actually kept the storyline of the GMM TV in there all the way through, and even had all the couple pairings from GMM TV have cameos in the last episode. It made me love it so much more. The humor throughout was very well done, as well as the lovey-dovey parts. We got a bit more seriousness in this season, but it worked really well considering so many big things had to happen in this one. And the chemistry between all the couples, and yes, I am including Mira and Plub as a couple as well, because it's basically what they were inferring. I loved all the couple pairings so much. I'm chomping at the bit to see what these actors do in their upcoming shows, or like more recent shows that are airing or have aired. I really think all the actors and actresses do a really good, really excellent job, and really bring life to the roles that they play in. Now, what could have been better? There wasn't much that I disliked, honestly. Some may have wanted more episodes, and that's a fair point. However, I think it was fine for what it was supposed to be. A continuation of married life for T and Peach. There wasn't much more they could do with that. I would love to see more of the other three couples, but I would prefer them to have like their own side stories or even specials if they were to go on to do that, because Peach and Me gave us more on Peach and T. But of course, it's their show, so they're not going to deep dive into three other couples just because like people are wanting to see more of those couples, you know? The only other thing I will point out again is that it's clear that GMMTV has couples they put more into than others, and this production I felt kind of proved that for me. It did really well, and I'm not saying this because of the actors. I'm saying this about the company itself as a whole. They need to do more things like this for all of their couples, not just fan favorites or prominent ones. Give me a minute. Sorry, she has buttons now, and she loves to use the buttons. They need to do more things like this for all their couples, not just fan favorites and prominent ones. It feels very picky choosy, which shows end up more well known than others. I want Me and T energy for all the shows moving forward, because this proves they can do it. And if they can do it for one, they should do it for all, especially considering all the work the actors are doing, and the acting alone doesn't even pay all that well, which is something I just found out. So I think that's also a reason why the production values disparities are pretty upsetting to me, because they're doing hard work and they're doing it consistently and frequently. Like GMMTV airs a lot of shows, like a fuck ton of shows. Like I'm having a hard time even keeping up with how often they air shows. So it's like with how much we're doing and how much our actors are doing, we should be doing way more for all of them, not just picking which couples do better than others, you know? But all of that aside, I'm giving Peach and Me 10 out of 10 daggers. Peach and Me is exactly what it needs to be. A cute, chaotic little continuation for people who weren't ready to say goodbye to T and Peach. Sometimes you don't need another complicated plot. Sometimes you just want to watch your favorite couple be stupidly in love with each other for another few episodes. And Peach and Me delivers exactly that. It's definitely Blue approved. Now, I want to know what you guys thought. Were you happy with T and Peach's happily ever after? Do you think they needed a full second season, or were you okay with this, like for quick little episodes? Who do you think deserved more screen time, Aran and Taiwan, Malk and Rome, or Mira and Plub? Be honest, could you survive being married to T? And did you love the campy comedy, or was T doing a little too much? That's all I have for now, babes. So let's cut the feed, because my work here is done.